Good afternoon and welcome to my Facebook Live. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm independent demonstrator of Stampin' Up in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. If you're popping on and this is the first time you've been on, please let me know your name and say hi and where you're from, because I'd love to say hello to you. If I don't see your comment, I will get back to comments after my live has finished. Let's just get started, and I'm going to flip my camera over. Won't be one moment. Okay, just a quick reminder, our new annual catalogue starts in May. Unfortunately, I cannot show you what's inside the catalogue at the moment, but we are going to be looking again today at some of the new products that I've ordered. Hi Mary, how are you? Great to see you watching. Okay, so if you haven't received a copy of this catalogue and you are here in Australia and you don't have a current demonstrator, please contact me. You can contact me by leaving a message on my Facebook page, which is Michelle Dutrissa Stampin' Up Independent Demonstrator, or you can go to michelledutrissa.stampinup.net and you will find some contact details on there as well. So just if you want one of these, let me know and I can pop it into the post for you, but you do have to be here in Australia. Okay, let me just remove that. So this is the product that we're going to be looking at today. It's one of the new products in the annual catalogue, and it's the Colour and Contour bundle. So it comes with this really great, let me just move that up a little bit, sorry. I'll just move that. Sort of got things a little bit different position today. Okay then, sorry about that. So this is our Colour and Contour. It is a bundle set that you can purchase. So it comes with a stamp set and it comes with coordinating dies. So it's always worthwhile to have a look at some of these products that do come in bundles, because when they're bundled together, you do get a 10% discount on these. So let me just show you what's in the bundle. So what you get in the bundle, as I said, is a stamp set. So these are all the stamps in the bundle. You've got a beautiful flower here, full flower, and then a stem with some flowers on the side. And then you've got these, it's a two-step stamp. So it's a photopolymer as well. And this one here is the fill, and it is a distinctive stamp. So you want to make sure that your stamps aren't too juicy, so it can pick up the different variation in colour. Let me just bring this a little bit closer so you can see. And then you also have the two-step stamps that goes with this one here as well. There's some really fantastic sentiments. I love this font, and a little bit of splatter that you can easily use as well. Now, as I said, it does come with a range of dies. So you have this die here, which cuts out this piece, and then you have this one here, which cuts out the flower. Now, I just wanted to quickly show you something. I've put a little black mark on these because it's taken me a little while just to play with these and marry them up. So I've just discovered that that piece there, and you can see it's just got a little bit of a rounded end, marries up with this piece here. And what I have done, if I can grab my stamps here so I can show you, I've actually got a Sharpie and I've just marked on the very edge there that mark, and then I've married it up there. So I know that when I stamp these stamps that those two are going to marry up. It just helps a little bit. The dies, it's not meant to marry up perfectly. It is one of those stamps where you've got the outline stamp and then the filler just fills it in quite roughly. It's not a perfect image to image stamp set. So it also comes with these fantastic dies, and I love these dies. You've got a whole range of dies here in all different sizes, and they're all slightly different. This one here's got the scallop with the cutout in the middle. Now this white piece of cardstock I've got underneath, that represents a card front here in the Australian market. So that's 10.5 centimetres by 14.9. So I just wanted to pop that underneath, so with these on top, so you can actually see, I'm hoping I've got that on in camera for you, you can actually see that you don't have the same distance top to bottom as you have at the sides, and that's due to the fact that in America their cards aren't not quite as deep as ours, but you can still use it quite nicely. It still fits within the parameters of our card front. So this one, as I said, has a scallop with a little cutout. The next one has got a scalloped edge, and then it's got like a little dotted line, a little stitching line. I'll just bring that slightly closer so you can see. The next one has got the scallop. It's smaller again. It's got the scallop, but this time the stitching line is more of a straight line rather than that little dot. The next one up, again, you've got your nice little scalloped edge, but if I can just slip my fingernail underneath there, it's got a slit that goes almost the full length on there. It's got a little dot in the corners, and then it's got a short little slit, a dot, and a short little slit. So very decorative, would make lovely decorative pieces for sentiments and so forth. And then the last one is a real nice little sentiment piece with the same sort of scalloped edge, but this time a larger circle punched out of each of the scallops. So really lovely dies. And then you have this one here, which is an edge die, and again you've just got that nice little spot or stitching line all the way around. So I'm sure over the next week or two I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with these dies. So they're the dies and the stamp set. Now, as I said before, these are a bundle. You purchase them together and you get your 10% discount. It doesn't mean you can't purchase them separately. You will be able to do that as well, but you won't get that 10%. So really worthwhile looking at this as a bundle rather than individual pieces. Okay, so let me show you the card we're going to do today. I'm going to pop that to one side. And this is the card that we're going to make today. Now, this designer series paper is in the new catalogue, but it was a very hard one to find. I didn't actually see this design. I actually found another design and thought, now where could that be? And it wasn't until I got to the very, very back pages of the new catalogue that's coming out. And in the hostess section, just for hostesses, now let me bring in, this is our annual catalogue that is just about to leave us. So I can show you this one. And right at the very back, we have a section of products that's just for hostesses. So if you want to host a party yourself with some of your friends, then if you have $250 worth of sales, you get 10%, or so between $250 to $300, you get 10% of that amount. So if you did $250 worth of sales with you and your friends, then you'd have $25 that you could spend. Now you can spend it on other products in the catalogue, but these products are just for hostesses only. So here in this case, you've got the choice of these two stamp sets here. I don't think that there is another one. No, that's it. Just those two, which are quite good stamp sets. If you host a party and your party sales come to between $500 and $575, then you get 12% of that total to spend on products from the catalogue. So they're free products that you get to spend. Now, you don't have to host a party. You could do $250 worth of sales for yourself, and you still get that 10% to spend. So these, in the new catalogue that's going to be coming, when I got to the very back looking for these designer series paper, that's where I found it, in the hostess only section. So let me just show you what it is. Now, this is a huge bundle of paper. There's quite a bit in it. Normally our bundles of paper come in packs of 12, 2 of each sheet, and 6 designs. But this one has got, I think it's 4 of each sheet. So it's quite a huge bundle. And these are some of the beautiful papers that are in it. Now, they're just very, in some ways, I suppose, a little bit generic. But when I've sort of looked at these, there are certain stamp sets and punches that you could very, very easily team up with all of these beautiful products. this one here, which looks like a leopard print, there is a really fantastic animal stamp set coming out in the new catalogue, and that will go with it beautifully. So you've got all of these, and look how many designs there are. There's a huge number of designs there. And if we flip these over, they're all black and white on the back. So these will coordinate with any other stamp set in black and white. And I love the black and whites because you can easily colour them as well. So it's worthwhile thinking about this, that if you have $250 worth of sales or you want to have a party, let me know if you're in the Southern Highlands area of New South Wales, or I'm prepared to travel at least an hour to an hour and a half in any direction. So that's going probably all the way down to Goulburn, maybe a little bit past Goulburn, through to Campbelltown, maybe even as far as Liverpool, or down Wollongong way, or even Katoomba. So if you're interested in having a party of your own, invite a few friends, let me know. Otherwise, if you don't want to have a party with the COVID restrictions and everything at the moment, you can always take your catalogue and share your catalogue with your friends and build up your order that way. And as I said, get $250. Go on to michellejutrissa.stampinup.net, where you'll find my shop, and you can shop through there for you and your friends. But give me a yell and let me know, because I would love to help you with all of that. Okay, so let me pop these aside, and this catalogue, as I said, this is the outgoing catalogue, and the new one is coming. So what I have done is I have used this particular designer series paper out of that pack and the stamp set that I've shown you and dies to create this card. So we're going to create this card again now. Now anybody who leaves a comment today on my Facebook Live, the first person to leave a comment will receive this card in the mail. Okay, so be the first person to leave me a comment and you will receive this card. So let's start, and we'll make one of these together. So the products that you need to make this card, besides your stamp set and dies, you will need half a sheet of basic black. Now here in Australia we use A4, so that's 10.5 centimeters wide by 29.9 centimeters long, and that's half a sheet, and I've scored that in half at 14.9. We also then need a couple of pieces of basic white. You need a piece of basic white for our insert, which is 10 centimeters wide by 14.4. Then you're going to need another piece of basic white so we can actually die cut our die on there. You could make it a little bit smaller, but I usually just cut everything into quarter sheets and work from there. So we'll need that piece, so we'll pop that just there for the moment. You also need a piece of Highland heather, and this piece of Highland heather is also 10 centimeters by 14.4. And then we need two pieces of our designer series paper. This one is 9.7 centimeters by 14.1, and then a little scrap piece here, which is also your 9.7 centimeters in width by approximately 2 centimeters in depth. Okay, so let's start off with die cutting our piece here. So I'm going to bring in my Big Shot. Let me just move some of these pieces out of the road. So with our Big Shot, or not our Big Shot anymore, with our cut and emboss machine, Stampin' Up have brought out their own, and I've got mine just here. Now it's not going to fit completely into the frame here, so I am going to work from this to at one side. This is a beautiful machine, really worthwhile getting, works superbly. So let me pop that to one side and open that up. With that we need our plates. We need our plate number 1, our plate number 2, and our 2 Perspex number 3 plates. So we're going to pop that one there on the bottom. pop on my basic white and my die and pop the next one on top. So we're just going to run that through our Big Shot. Never force anything, not our Big Shot, sorry, our Stampin' Cut. Don't know why I'm saying that today. Never force anything through your Stampin' Cut because you don't want to do damage to your machine. And once we've removed all these pieces, you're left with this beautiful scalloped piece there. So let me just remove these. We don't need these any longer. The sides of our stamp cut and emboss machine fold back up and easily stores out of the road. Okay, so we'll pop our die piece there. We've got that. Now we need to do a bit of stamping. Now the inks that I'm using today are going to be Highland Heather and Basic Grey, and then I'm also using Memento Black. So we're going to start off with our Basic Grey, and we're going to stamp our floral image on here. So just tapping, not pushing down too hard on our stamp pads, but just tapping that lightly on there, making sure we've got good coverage of ink. Now the one thing we do need to pop underneath there is, because this is a photopolymer stamp, is our foam mat and a bit of scrap paper on top, just to be able to give us a good coverage, because with the photopolymer stamps we don't have the foam that we have on the red rubber. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp this. Now I am stamping this at a little bit of an angle, because we don't need to have our flowers standing upright. Just want to have those a little bit of an angle. Just hold it down for a few seconds just to let that ink get on the surface. Lift that up, and there's our lovely image there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to colour our image using the stamps that come in the set. And as I said, they're not meant to fit perfectly. So again, I'm just going to ink them up. You don't want to use too much ink on your stamp pad, so you don't want it to be too juicy. And probably the best part of your stamp pad to use is actually in the center, because when we ink up, we will generally go to the center more. So you'll have probably a little bit less ink in that center than what you will have at the sides. And I'm just going to turn this around a little bit just to help me to line this up. And I'm going to line up that bud there with the bud piece at the top. Hopefully I can get this lined up, because I'm working a little bit further away than I would normally do. And we're going to stamp that down, and just holding that down for a few seconds just to make sure we get good contact and that ink is transferred. Now that will lighten up a little bit as the ink dries, but there we are, we've stamped that off. So there's not much stamping in this. It's a very quick and easy card. Now still we'll need that ink in a moment, and the next thing we have to do is stamp our sentiment. And the sentiment that I'm using, I thought was a beautiful one, and it is "Thank you for everything." So a really nice little thank you card. So let me just pop that up there so it's in screen for you. I think I'm starting to go a little bit out of screen, I'm sorry. And we're just going to line that up straight as I possibly can and stamp that down. Again, just holding that down for a few seconds just to let that ink soak into the paper. There we are, beautiful. That is such a gorgeous font. It is very soft and gentle. So that's all our stamping, all done. As I said, just a very simple card. So let me pop all this to one side and let that dry for a moment. And we're going to work on our designer series paper. Now, as you can see in my original card, I put a little bit of colour into my designer series paper. And this is where I said with the black and white paper you can easily add a bit of colour to give a completely different look to your designer series paper. So what I've done is I've taken my designer series paper, let's pop that out of the one side. I've taken a dauber and my stamp pad. Now the inside of this is actually going to be covered, so all you really need to do is worry about the outer flowers. And all we're just going to do is just start off and just very lightly tap some colour. You don't need to go all the way around the outside of the petals. I'm just starting off in the centre and just working out a little bit. And just adding a little bit of colour there. Making sure you get those ones on the sides. And it really just throws a beautiful soft purpley hue or Highland Heather hue across your paper. Even though we're only just colouring a small section of it, it makes the whole lot look like it's all been coloured. So it's just a really great easy way, whoops, let me just turn this around, to very quickly give your designer series paper a completely different look. So once you're happy with that, we can pop that piece to one side, and we're going to bring in our little strip. This is for our insert of our card, and we're just going to do exactly the same thing. Just pop a little bit of colour, not forgetting those little outer petals that are just on the edge. These little ones here, even though they're just the tips of the petals, we still want to have a little bit of colour on there. And that's all our colouring, and that is just so quick and simple and easy to do. So now it's time to put our card together, because we've got our designer series paper coloured, we've stamped our piece to go in the middle, and let's bring in the rest of our card. So we're going to take our basic black and we're going to fold that in half, making sure our edges are all together. I'm using the bone folder, and I found it this week. We're just going to crease up those, pop that to one side. I'm going to take my Highland Heather cardstock and we're going to adhere that piece onto there. I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue. You can use your seal, but I just find with the multi-purpose glue I'm able to move this around if it's just not quite in the right place to start with. Just make sure I put a fair bit of that glue on, but not too much. You don't want any big globs anywhere. So we're just going to pop that onto there, line it up. You've only got, I've allowed for about 3 mils, so that's about 1.5 mil all the way around. As you can see here, I've got a little bit of slip time, so I can slip this all into place where I want it to be. Just turn that over and just give that a really good push down, just to make sure that that glue is spread out nicely and even, and that is looking really good. So we're going to take our card front and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to adhere our matted designer series paper onto the front of the card. Now I will put this card onto my blog with all the measurements and everything, so if you did want to have a go at making this, and you could use, this is a very simple one, you could use another designer series paper, another stamp set, it'll still all work quite well. Because I mean, this stamp set does not go necessarily with this designer series paper. I just thought the flowers were very, very similar in style, more so than in design, and it would work quite well together. So now I've got that piece on there. I'm going to grab my insert piece and we're just going to adhere this little piece on the back. Put some glue on the back there, I should say. Now, this is slightly narrower than my insert. I've just allowed a little bit of a white border all the way around. It's only just a smidgen. Okay, just push that down, give it a good rub, just get that glue spreading out nicely. Just remember, if anyone who leaves a comment, first person to leave a comment will get my card today. But it's only a comment on my Facebook Live. If later on I get a few comments and I have no comments today, Facebook Live, I will put everybody's names in the hat. Whoops, don't want to pop that on top of that. We want to pop it inside our card. That would be funny if I did that. So slip that into place there, making sure it's all nicely lined up. Okay, just going to flip that over, give that a good rub just to make sure everything is adhered. And make sure if you're doing that, you've got no sticky on your table. You don't want to have a sticky card to the table. Okay, so that's our card all done, and now we have to attach our piece here. So you can just use some dimensionals. Just got a few dimensionals left on here. Don't waste all these end pieces. What you can do is whoops, I've got another one just there, pop that there. These end pieces work really well in just giving support across the middle. Or you can cut them up into smaller pieces and use. No point wasting. I'm actually going to be fairly generous in the amount of adhesive I'm adding onto this card today, because I don't really want it to sink in the middle. So another piece there. Peel off our backings. I've already got that one off. Now, because the measurements all the way around this card isn't going to be the same at the sides, the top and bottom, I'm actually going to lift my piece here so I've got a greater distance between the bottom and there to there to there. And that's because you don't want to have things going down too close to the end of your card. Otherwise it can look like it's falling off your card. It's the same when you're doing scrapbooking. You don't necessarily all the time want to have everything to the edge of your paper. Now, it's not saying you can't do that. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's just a it's actually a rule when you're doing show card and ticket writing or signage. You don't want to have it too close to the bottom, because otherwise it's just looking like it's going to just topple off the bottom of your card or your window or your sign. So it's I follow the same sort of format. I don't want to have anything going, you know, especially if these areas here don't measure up the same as the top and bottom there. I'd rather have a bigger gap there at the bottom. But that's me, and it works out the way you want to do it. Now I just want to put a little bow on this, and I'm just using baker's twine. Now, baker's twine does now come in the new catalogue in a pack of 5. So you get the baker's twine essential pack, and there's 5 colours. There's basic white, basic black, very vanilla, and then you have, I think this one here could be basic grey, and that one's probably crumb cake. But I had an unfortunate accident in here yesterday. It's a good reason why you shouldn't have drinks where you're working. I spilt my drink, and my baker's basic white twine sort of got a little bit saturated. So I ended up just throwing it away. I thought, well, I probably could wash it and try to get it dry, but I thought, it's not worth it. I knew I had some more baker's twine here. So please be very careful when you're working where you have your drink sitting, and don't do what I did. Have a bit of an accident. I think it's going to make me from now on clean up my table a little bit more, not work in such a mess. Okay, so I'm just going to tie it. So I've just taken a piece of baker's twine. I've taken about 1/2 meter. You probably don't really need that much. And I've just folded it in half, and then I have tied a bow, and that just gives you a really nice double bow. I'm just trying to play with this a little bit because it's trying to twist on me. So just going to tie a nice little double bow there. Once you're happy with it, you've tightened up your knot, you can cut your tails off on there, and we're just going to get a glue dot. Now you will probably have to roll your glue dot up into a little roll with the tip of your scissors or a tip of a pair of tweezers, or even you take a pick tool. Pop that onto the back of your knot on your bow and knot onto your scissors. Once you've got that on there, you can actually just attach that where you want it on the stem of your flowers. There you go. There's our card for today. Just very, very simple. You could add some bling if you wanted to, but I just felt that little bow was just enough to finish that off. So you could use whatever colour you wanted and colour your own designer series paper to match your flowers that you use. I hope you've enjoyed this card today. I am going to be having a play with these dies a little bit more, because I think these dies are just beautiful, and see what else I can come up with. So I hope you can join me again next Friday as we have a look at another product and make some cards from. So just very quickly, I'm just going to flip this camera over just so I can say goodbye properly. Won't be one moment. There we go, we're back again. So as I said, I hope you can hope you've enjoyed this today. I hope you can join me again next week as we have a look at some more Stampin' Up products and what we can do with them. So bye for now. Have a lovely day.